we'll call it to order because it is that time, and we'll hope that we'll get an addition. So we are meeting today. I think most everybody kind of knows what our goals and plans are under this second pot of dollars under Executive Order 2302. Would have been super nice if some similar language had been used across the board. However, under this group, we're a local planning group. So that funding model has Coos Bay, North Bend, and the county together, very focused on some statistics we have to meet, with 32 folks rehoused and 8 shelters added to our community. We proposed some projects. One of those projects is here to kind of move that forward and hopefully get approved funding for 1.5, I believe, is our ask for today. So I don't know how much, Tara, if you want to share. Hopefully we kind of have an idea of what this plan was anyways, but.
So obviously the plan is to relocate the Devereaux Center, and in the process of that, adding shelter beds through expanding the Coal Bank Village, and having a few 4 rooms is what our plan is on the inside of the building that could be used for perhaps a medically fragile person that can't navigate gravel, you know, outdoors, or a family that maybe needs a little more privacy, or somebody with an infant. And we have had all of those scenarios at Coal Bank and don't believe that the outdoor shelter model is the best for them. So in addition to obviously moving us to a different location, which I think we all agree is beneficial, it would also give us the space that we really need because we've outgrown this building dramatically. And adding the shelter beds, perhaps having a warming center that could actually be a warming center, or other options. Like, I haven't even seen inside the building, so it's kind of hard to imagine all of the options when we only know like the footprint of the building and some very broad numbers that aren't exactly accurate from previous building plans. So if you have questions, I can answer those. If that's not enough detail, let me know. But yeah.
So we're here to listen and learn a little bit and then come to some conclusion about whether or not we want to fund this. If we decide to fund this, this still is going to go before North Bend City Council. North Bend is the fiscal agent of this set of dollars. So that we've already kind of worked to get on the North Bend Council's agenda. I don't know if that's what you were going to talk about, David. Sorry.
So I went to chime in on a couple things. So local planning group, that's a state designation that actually recognized our House Bill 4123 pilot. So it is our local Office of Homelessness that's recognized as the local planning group for this purpose. The Office of Homelessness submitted multiple projects. Those projects were therefore prioritized, and the relocation of the Devereaux Center was first priority. However, there was contingencies that were attached to that. Therefore, being that Coos Bay actually had to get the property under contract and be able to actually secure the project, the building, the facility. From there on, it's the local planning group that really has to decide to allocate now the funds. And so it's very, very salient and important. We put in the project request. We actually had more requests than funding came out. In fact, this particular project's not fully funded. So we have worked diligently as a local planning group as to figure out how we're going to make up the difference to come to fruition. So it is this group for which is deciding which project or projects will get funded by those funds. Those funds are from the state. The state did not designate any given project. In fact, what we submitted, they simply came back and, as Nicole said, identified the 8 additional shelters and the 32 rehousing of the homelessness. And so it is up to this local planning group to make the final decision on what projects. The role of North Bend is a fiscal agent. And so I have informed the city council because I have dual roles. I'm an appointed member of this homeless local planning group, as is Mayor Engelke, because of our roles in the city. There's 2 from each of the 3 governments, the county and Coos Bay and North Bend. And so I have informed the city council that as fiscal agent, we are a pass-through of the funds. It's not for North Bend to say yay or nay. It is this local planning group here that's going to say yay and nay. And then if it's a yay, then it is up to Coos Bay to fully implement the project. And can do so with resources from the Office of Homelessness, which is why we have a project manager, we have grant writing and administrative resources. It's because ultimately we have a strategic plan that was funded as part of House Bill 4123 and are moving forth with that. Now, that's a long-winded way of saying that I will make a motion to allocate 1.5 million of the executive order 23-02 funds to the prioritized 1 project, which is the relocation of the Devereaux Center to Coos Bay, with 2 specific caveats. 1, that there will be a agreement between the city of Coos Bay and the Devereaux Center, or whichever partner it suggests, that's going to have clear, defined ground rules and operating rules, very much like the Salvation Army has with its facility in Spokane. And second, that the Devereaux Center works collaboratively with the city of Coos Bay to maximize that space so that it is not a detriment to the city of Coos Bay. Those are the 2 things that are very disconcerting, and I want to make sure that as a representative of North Bend, the mayor and I are taking that position. I'm not speaking for her, but she shares the same belief. Other than that, that is the motion recommendation. This will be a Coos Bay asset. It'll be the responsibility of Coos Bay then to manage its interactions. The reason for the caveats on the motion is just that. We are all in this together, and I think we all want to see the best for the community. And so everything comes with strings attached, and those are the strings attached to my motion. If someone wants a second in it, great. If not, it fails, and someone else can make another motion. With that said, back to you, Madam Chair. See if you get a second. And I'd encourage that second probably not to come from Coos Bay, since you're the beneficiary, but that's just me.
I'll be happy to second that. Whoops. I'll second.
Thank you. Having a motion and a second, is there any further discussion?
This would be the opportunity for now Tara to talk about anything. And she's absolutely right. It's hard to come up with a vision unless you've seen the building, because a lot of this has had to be done quietly and through executive session. And so we as a planning group have only been privy to so much, but all of that gets worked out in those latter agreements. Right now, it's all about acquisition. If you don't have a site or property, you can't even move to the next step or even start to look at what the next steps are.
So I will relay that my board has expressed some concern, I guess would be the right word, that we're leaving an autonomous situation where, you know, we decide how we operate into a non-autonomous situation. We're bringing money to the table, not the significant amount that you guys are. And so my board wants to have some reassurance that that your caveats are reasonable. You know, I can't think of anything right now, but actually David Kaufman from the Salvation Army shared with me that Spokane has actually suspended effective April 1st, the program that you were referring to. And we don't want that to happen. And yet I don't know how we can prevent something like that from happening. So that's, my board wants to make sure that we include language that prevents something like that from happening, especially because we're bringing our own money to the table. We have some funds for the renovation as well as some to supplement yours. So obviously Nicole and I will have to, you know, pound that out. But those caveats, I mean, we're not opposed to caveats, and we understand strings are attached because all of our money has strings attached, but making sure that, you know, we still have the ability to function, you know, as we see fit, being a good community partner. And again, like Orca, when Drew was there, felt that we were a good partner, community partner, but there are other people in the community that don't think we are. So who wins? You know, who says we're a good community partner and who says we're not?
And so with that said, I had lunch today with your board chair or board president, and we had
No, it wouldn't. The board president's sitting right here with me, and you had maybe our secretary.
I don't know which his role is then. And so we it was Scott, and so we had great conversation. I think that we would be naive if we said that the Devereaux Center in its current iteration with what's occurring in public view is not acceptable and won't be sustainable. And so this is a goal to make sure, and then it's not recreating what they have in Spokane. And so I don't want you to step away thinking that. They have very good, robust rules. And I said that I wanted to see good rules, very much like what they have at Spokane or had at Spokane, that are enforced so that this does not become a blight or an albatross to Coos Bay, and that no one regrets moving forward. Speaking with my city manager hat, what I see on a day-to-day basis, I have great admiration, as you know, for what the Devereaux Center does. But if that was occurring in my city, I would have already moved forward with the International Building Code and taken aggressive action. So I want to be very good partners. The drug use, alcohol, trash, all of that.
You know what, David? I need to stop you right there. That is not fair, and that is not what this meeting is about.
Well, that's why that I have in my motion that we address the rules and the guidelines, and it's part of the motion that it's worked out so that we have a good strategic long-term relationship in order to address the root issue, which is homelessness.
Yeah, so I'll just step in so we can kind of maintain some order. We did at our meeting when we had 4 representatives from Coos Bay that came to the Devereaux Center's board meeting on Monday. And this was discussed. We did talk about the need to have an agreement between the 2 entities that meets both of our needs. We have high expectations that we are going to see a successful transition for many people so that today's Devereaux Center has a different look and feel than what we're building for tomorrow. It is going to meet the needs of the folks who are out there on the street. So that is very much our desire as well. I think there are ways to go about it that we are not alienating each other during that process, and we have every every intent that the people who, I mean, when we put this agreement together, we will have, you know, I intend, whether this is appropriate or not, I intend to have some elected officials sit at the table because they take heat for things. I intend to have police officers at the table because they are the ones in response. I intend to potentially have some service providers at the table so that they can be making some decisions about how best to serve this population. And I very much intend to have folks from the Devereaux Center who are doing this hard work every single day, sit at the table and talk to us about what's possible. So I agree 100%. I just want to do it from a space that doesn't send us all to our corners. So.
Absolutely.
Am I on? Yeah, I'd like to add in, if I understand this correctly, nothing will happen until and unless Coos Bay and the Devereaux Center reach an agreement.
Correct.
That's correct.
And so I've got to know both Nicole and Tara over the years, Nicole more recently than that. And I have every confidence that they're going to be able to work this out. So I think we should just move ahead on that assumption. And if it's not workable, then it just doesn't get done. But I'm not gonna, I'm sure we'll have this taken care of here before too many more months pass. I'm very supportive of what you're doing and thankful for the work that's gone into this.
Thank you.
Drew, did you have any comments, any other discussion?
No, I'm looking forward to seeing this move forward. Assurances, you know, we're all going to work together in best faith, and I never know who's going to come after me, but I think that's a risk we all face. I don't know who comes after me. Tara doesn't know who comes after her. Anytime I've been in ED, I didn't necessarily know who was going to come after me, and that's always a challenge that we just kind of accept in life. But obviously, with my intent and looking at the Devereaux Center and considering that it's not just an asset for Coos Bay, it's the entire county that relies on the Devereaux Center to some extent. It just happens to be housed in Coos Bay, and the other 6 cities benefit from that. Looking forward to seeing this move forward to a position where the Devereaux is also not so much being attacked in the public sight, but somewhere that they can operate more closely with the Coal Bank Village shelter that they've established. Of course, it's not aligned for anyone to comment on how Coos Bay operates itself, but unless they're a constituent here. So, yeah.
And I guess too, I would add, like, I could envision that this agreement would include some clauses that would acknowledge what the Devereaux Center is giving up. They're giving up an asset potentially. You know, they're not going to own a building. You know, so what do we do if in, let's say, year 2, this arrangement does not work, and we need to have a clause that puts them in a position of what they came in with. I mean, so we need to be very mindful about that. But the bigger picture is if that happens, who's stepping in next? So I think we have to think about all those things and prepare for worst case scenarios when we write that agreement. But it will have to be done with a lot of parties at the table to make sure it contains all the things that we need it to contain to make sure this is successful. That's the goal. Otherwise, oh my gosh, it has been since July. I've been struggling to get this to happen. And so it would have been a waste of time.
Roger reached out to me more than a year ago, probably a year and a half ago, about this idea and working on it. And I shared with Nicole, just being honest, that through this whole process, the House Bill group is the bus driver, and I'm at the very back of the bus, and there are 1,000 children screaming between us. And that's not any particular person that's here's fault, but we need to get much closer to the driver's seat now. I understand, like Nicole said, that much of this had to remain confidential, and we kept it quiet. We did all of our due diligence in doing our role in that. to the point of taking heat from the public for my role in that. So we have no ill will at all, but we want to make sure that we're at the behind the driver's seat without those 1,000 children between us. And that's all we're asking, is that we are now equals at the table instead of pretty please may we have. That's what we want.
And I think that this accomplishes all of that. It takes care of, first, the public policy issues. Two, it takes care of the needs in the community. And three, it allows a strategic partner to actually continue the great work that has been accomplished. It is all of our hopes that the naysayers are tampered down so that we can focus on the successes. Unfortunately, those voices are extremely loud and they're very aggressive right now. And so we want to be able to come out to the public, to those naysayers, and clearly articulate to them that this is a cooperative relationship, but there will in fact be rules and regulations and they will be enforced. And that's what we want to make sure. And that's the messaging that has to be sent to the public. Otherwise, from the political standpoint, we all lose.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask one more question?
Yes.
Yes, it was mentioned that there's still a financial gap between $1.5 million and fully implement this project.
We're bringing the gap to the table.
I think I'd be remiss if I were to approve this without knowing a little bit more about that.
Sure, that's fair. So, I think one thing that we have an advantage here with is Tara's resourcing in the community. So we have that, we know we have a gap between just the 1.5 and the amount necessary to acquire the property. Tara's already hustled on the streets and she's figured out that cash amount. Originally, the board was willing to pledge the building, so they do have some skin in the game. Moving past acquisition, we have some work to do to rehabilitate that property. I've already connected to Business Oregon and access to the CDBG grant. That'll give us up to $1.5 million. I've also talked to CCD. Like all entities, Coos Bay does not have capacity to apply and manage and report on a CDBG grant. So CCD has already indicated interest in helping us with that. So there may be some gaps still, but I don't doubt that amongst this group, we have some great minds that we will pull together and figure out how we find those gaps in adding those rehabilitation pieces over the next year to 18 months as we're getting this property fully renovated very purposefully for how we envision this project to operate at the new site.
I think it's a very important step in moving forward with our programs to address homelessness. I'm ready to vote. Everyone else is coming to vote.
All right, so no further discussion. I will call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those, what's the word?
Opposed?
Opposed.
Sign.
Like all those opposed, hearing none, motion passes. Thank you for the legislative help. All I had was nay in my head. All those nay?
Nay is good.
Yeah. Okay, that is what we had on our agenda for today. I really appreciate you guys pulling together and doing this last minute special meeting. Timing is kind of important right now, so I appreciate that. Helps us align nicely with North Bend's council meetings coming up, so.
Madam Chair, may I
Yes.
ask a question?
Yes,
Can we share what the next step would be? And it's probably this coming week.
Maybe,
Are
maybe
we,
tell me what that is?
are we possibly gonna be meeting at the City of North Bend council meeting, or is that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about that at the beginning of the meeting. Yeah, so we go North Bend's work session on Monday. And then so we'll present and discuss there, and then Tuesday following, that's when they hold their regular meetings, so we will also attend that. And are hopeful that we'll have support from North Bend to make the purchase, so.
And for that meeting, we're only really expecting a representative from Coos Bay. Because it is a Coos Bay North Bend ask. It doesn't have anything to do with any other entity beyond that. What Coos Bay is doing is a Coos Bay project.
Fair. When I say we,
Okay,
might be some other Coos Bay folks besides me who
Yeah.
comes to the table.
yeah. The our agenda is posted. It's a pretty straightforward procedural as and written as such as a pass through.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else to come before, any other questions or anything, then I will.
There's one thank you.
Thank
Obviously,
you all.
It's taken a lot of work to get this far, hard work, and whoever has done that, I think I know, but I'm
All
not.
of these. All
Thank you very much, all of you.
right. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you all. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.